This paint is so rough that there's bits of fluff from the car wash lamb's wool washing mitten that they use stuck into this clear coat. This is so shit. It's all good excuses to actually change all of this in time, eh? So today's job, keys. Car came with two effectively ignition keys. They're chipped, so I'm assuming it's an immobilizer of some sort historically. So it's got those two keys, and then it came with one set of these. One has GM on it on both sides. The one, according to guys, and there's been various kind of opinions, etc. This is an Ilco, which has no GM logo on the other side, so one assumes that this is a replacement for one of these. I don't know, but a really valid suggestion made on one of the forums was that possibly that copy was made using a worn out copy of this, or even this one. I'm not sure, but this would have probably been done in the US, so these are quite old. The guy that sold me the car handed over that the one that says GM is for the doors, and the one that doesn't say anything is for the trunk. Now, I'm going to pocket this key, the ignition key, which I'll check in the ignition later on to see whether both of them work equally well at starting. So my first question is whether these two are interchangeable, because if I can, I would rather have just one key in my bunch. I don't like heavy bunches, but I like some jangly shit on there. I've got a sugar skull and I've got some Turkish thing, just because it's colourful. I think this is called a seeing eye or something. I just like the colour of it and the fact that it's pretty, nothing more. And I found it in my box of keys and key rings. So first thing to try, let's try the GM key. Now the GM key, according to the seller, is not the one for the trunk. Let's see, you open up this way, goes in, opens the door, or the trunk, or the boot. Right, so we shut that. We then use the one without the badging and see whether that works. Oh look, both work. So that is here on the trunk. Both of them work. That's actually now not shutting. Now it has, right. This will need some tightening up as well soon. So I think both of them work on the trunk. Let's try the door and see whether the doors, both of them, both front doors, actually unlock with this key. So we'll reset the camera over there and see what it says. Right, we're back in play. The door's not locked, so we try the GM key. This is meant to be to lock. It locks, it works. It unlocks, it works. Let's try the blank key that I was told was for the trunk. That locks and unlocks. So on the driver's side, this works. Let's try the passenger side, same thing. And we'll also see whether the glove box actually is managed by the same keys. As if by magic, we're on the passenger side. So let's try the GM key once again. Door is unlocked, so we'll lock it with the GM key. Locks, and it unlocks. So that works. Let's try this. Blank key locks the door, and hopefully it unlocks the door. So those work. I think the next step with all three of these will be to put a little bit of WD-40 into the lock barrels, just as preventative maintenance. Then let's try and see if we can get to the glove box. Glove box works, opens and shuts. We'll put a key in it. We'll put the blank key in it first, and lock it. Doesn't open. We will then unlock it. It works, but I'm going to try something different. I'm going to lock it with the blank key and see if the GM marked key actually opens it. So that's probably not a bad idea. See if that opens it up. That opens it. That locks it. And let me just unlock it again, because I don't like locking stuff. Right, next step, try the ignition keys, the two of them, make sure they both work. Right. We know that the ignition key that the car came with actually works, but we'll try it in any case. I'm not sure the car's going to start or not, because I've not switched out the battery that I bought to replace the one that's running at 12 volt. But let's see if we get lucky today. Right, car starts, car happy. Right, smells a bit nice and fuely, as you'd expect from a car that's started up in the cold. And we'll try the other one. Easy as that. Cool. Both keys work. Both sets work, and I believe that I can take one of these keys and add it to that. That gives me two sets of keys. I'm pleased with that. Next job, lubricate up all of the locks, except for one in the cubbyhole, but definitely the doors and the trunk. WD-40 on a long nozzle. That's probably more than what we need. But just a squirt into each lock, I think, will do us the world of good. Or at least the car. This doesn't fit. This little nozzle. This little nozzle may be just a tad too big. Let's find a key that fits. Just chested them all. This is back in the right hole, like such. Let's see what happens. This badge is squiff as well. I'll have to reset that sometime, because that'll bother me, the fact that it's not quite straight. Right, let's see what happens now. So we need that out the way. We need that out the way. We need this only halfway in, so that it opens that up. Let's shove that in a few times. I think, honestly, that is actually operating a little bit smoother than it did before. I will grease these. I'm going to put some silver grease on these as well. Not silver, what I was saying. Some white grease on these. Just some spray on grease. Wipe that down. Sure, WD-40 isn't that good for paint work. Not that the paint work leaves much design. But I will add something here into this mechanism. Just as good. Right, let's see what happens. That might need a little bit of setting. We know this trunk. That's good. And that's really good. There we go. Smeared it and cleaned. Right, so the key in the hole so it opens slightly. Shove some Let's see. Amazing what a little bit of lubrication does. So that's locked. That's unlocked. I'll also grease up this lock in a bit. just do the other side quickly, then we're done. Do the driver's side, and we call it done. I'll add in the fact that the hinges were really bad, especially on the driver's side. It was literally a kind of a force it open, push it open and shut type mechanism. When I got the car, I then added some spray in white grease from Craig's stash, and it made a huge difference. It took a couple of days worth of use because obviously you only get in and out of the car once, twice, 3 times a day, so it's 3 or 4 times. But once I had moved it around a little bit, this feels better already. Once I'd moved it around, did I lock it? Whoops, there we go, unlock again. Getting hair everywhere. Like I said, a bit of white grease will probably do this thing the world of good as well. People don't think about things like that. Greasing up these things, keeping them lubricated. There we go. I'll do the other side quickly. That should be good. Next job I'm going to do quickly is just to clean up literally this front surface. I'll use a bit of brake cleaner just to take all the old gunge off, and then probably follow it with just a brush, paintbrush, or maybe that scrubbing brush, I'm not sure which one yet, plastic, to take the worst of this gunk off. I've already put white grease on the mechanisms up here and down there. So once again, just a bit of cleaning, It also kind of helps you to see when there's leaks, flaws, faults, mistakes, whatever. So yeah, that's the next job. Just making sure all of this is cleaned up reasonably. At some point I'll obviously take this apart, clean that up, spray paint it, because it's the only bit that's really gunky, rusty, other than all of these fasteners. But even the fasteners, I can take them out, put them over a wire brush, clean them up, and put a bit of black paint over them, and immediately it'll change the look of the car. So yeah, next job now, quickly just clean up the front end of the engine. The weather is a bit rubbish. You can see the clouds are threatening. They're talking about some storm with a name that I can't pronounce coming through on Thursday. Today is Wednesday afternoon. It's about 2:30 in the afternoon. So this time tomorrow we'll probably have a lot of rain coming down, but that's okay. At least tonight, when I sit in front of the telly doing nothing, reading, I call it reading YouTube, doing some YouTube schooling, I will be able to think, yep, at least those locks have been sorted. I also know which keys work where, and that basically means that the keys, I now have 2 sets of keys properly. So yeah, next job, do this front end quickly. And just like that, that's another little job done. I've got the white lithium grease to put onto the hood release mechanisms, both down there and up there. You can see this, I haven't actually touched, so I won't do any of that. I'll also clean the hood when I get to washing the car for real. Today I just wanted to clean this up, and I tell you what, once again, once it's dry, hopefully it'll start. I'm sure it'll start. I've worked sort of away from all of it, but just cleaning stuff up makes such a bloody difference. I'll put a bit of spray grease onto all of these fasteners once this is dried. Sorry, I'm not pointing very well, because these have picked up some rust over time, and if you don't keep your hand on stuff like that, it goes for a ball of shit. So I must be honest, from my point of view, as far as this is concerned, I'm a whole lot happier. Engine bay looks cleaner. Now if you go in there with your hands or you touch things, you don't come out with your hands looking like that. This is just from the cleaning. You know, normally if you check the oil, you come back looking like you're a grease monkey, and even grease monkeys don't look as grubby as that because it's just bleh. So yeah, I've kind of cleaned off all of these surfaces as best I can, all the way up there, and then across, just cleaned out the leaves and sprayed it down a bit, took all the excess sort of, I guess it's just mist, engine oil mist, etc. that gets onto a lot of these places, and it builds up, and in certain areas they do more. Now you can actually read the instructions, you can read the notices. So yeah, pleased as anything. I'm pretty pleased with all of this. So that's a whole episode just on lubricating some stuff, just getting a bit of slip slide into there and keeping things clean in the Olds. Thanks for watching. And that, as they say, is that for today. Happy that I've done at least some little jobs on the car.